This episode is brought to you by the new true crime docuseries American Nightmare, only on Netflix. In 2015, the Vallejo, California Police Department received a strange phone call about a kidnapping. But when the truth is stranger than fiction, you won't know who to trust or what is real. A fast-paced true crime thriller with cliffhangers at every turn. Watch American Nightmare now, only on Netflix.
This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.
Hey everybody, Brianna Whitney, host of the True Crime Arizona podcast. I know most of our listeners have been staying up to date with us on the Zombie Hunter trial, and that is not over yet, but we wanted to release an important episode that we think needs to get out right now because we have a pretty important, bizarre, and eerie true crime case that's unfolding in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area right now. There's a lot of people asking questions about it, and we wanted to answer everything that we know in the most detail so that people can understand what's going on. So this all centers around 29-year-old Lauren Heike. What we know is she was a bar cart server at True North Golf Club, which is kind of a high-end golf club. That's a nice job. It's a place where a lot of people go to kind of do premier golfing. She was found dead along a popular North Scottsdale trail on Saturday, April 29th, around 10:30 in the morning, and police have only released that she had obvious signs of trauma. We don't know if that means she was shot to death, stabbed to death. We don't know if there was some other kind of trauma there, but we're waiting to learn more about what happened to her. And so a lot of mystery around this. For one thing, the area where she was found is not only highly populated with people living in that area, but also running, biking, skating, all of that. There's a lot of people around at all times, and she was found at a normal time early in the morning. But also where she worked is a real nice area as well, and this is just something we don't normally hear about happening in the North Scottsdale area like this, in the North Phoenix area where she was found, which is basically right on the border there. So I have a reporter, Sarah Robinson, in the podcast studio with me. Sarah, you've been covering this case for our newscasts as this has unfolded. So I kind of want to start with just breaking down what we know and what this area was like. So talk to me just kind of chronologically about how you learned of the case and then your reporting efforts, where you went from there.
We first learned the case, I think, late Sunday evening. So yesterday, which was Monday, we started reporting boots on the ground. And the weird thing about it right off the bat was that at the bottom of the press release that we got from the Phoenix Police Department, it kind of had a very eerie message. It says, "We would like to remind everyone to be aware of your surroundings. If a hike or walk is in your plans, do so with a partner." And to me, that was just so scary because usually when we hear of these true crime events, a lot of them tend to be targeted. And when we see a message like that, that makes a lot of people feel on edge.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the mood was when we arrived on scene where she was found. And where she was found on the trail backs up to the edge of this neighborhood, a really nice neighborhood off of Libby Street in North Phoenix. And when we knocked on people's doors, they wanted to talk about it because they were like, this has never happened here. We're scared. I talked to a boy who was house sitting for his parents, and he said that his mom has just been paranoid ever since this has happened. And another woman that I spoke to said the same thing, that they have no idea. No one heard anything. No one saw anything. And this is a very populated trail. I mean, people were out there midday. It was 90 degrees, and we saw people running, hiking, walking, skating. So the fact that this happened and she was found in the morning is weird. I mean, if something had happened on the trail, you would have thought that people would have heard it or saw it.
Sure. And I think to give listeners a little more context of the area too, it's not just a trail. That Reach 11, it's actually like a huge area of soccer fields or fields where they have games and tournaments and things. I mean, you'll have hundreds of people there on the weekends too at any given time. And she was found in the weekend. So it's definitely an interesting area she was found. A lot of the times when I'm covering these true crime cases, a body might be found in the rural desert or somewhere like that. And clearly this is opposite here. Now, you mentioned you talked to a man, Matthew Pickering. He was house sitting for his parents. I want to play some of his sound so people can hear his side of what he saw, and just in terms of this, the investigation, watching this kind of unfold, so to speak, in his backyard, and in his reaction to finding Lauren's body.
I used to run back here all the time. When we're in the backyard, we see people riding their bikes, exercising. It's definitely a very popular neighborhood trail, so my mom runs back there a lot, yeah.
Is it super, shocking that this happened here?
Very, yeah. I mean, it's pretty family-oriented, safe, quiet neighborhood, so definitely not something that you would expect from this area.
What has been, the general mood here? Because I know I talked to another neighbor who said she's just been, spooked.
Yeah, my mom's spooked. I think she's playing, little paranoia games, saying, she heard footsteps behind her before, but that could just be her mind going crazy. I would say the neighborhood's just a little bit somber right now, and probably, a little sketched out and kind of looking over their shoulder, but definitely not something that they saw coming, so it's been a little bit quiet around here, and a lot of police activity, so that is a little awkward.
Yeah, and how, popular is the trail?
Very popular. I mean, if you sit in the backyard, you'll see people exercising all day from morning through the evening. So it's definitely not something that is not used a lot. It's a really weird place to find it, being as much activity is back there as it is.
I think he makes a good point in the fact that this is terrifying for everybody who lives there, because at the moment, we don't know if she was killed in that area. We don't know if her body was dumped there. And to not know who was responsible for this is so scary. And ironically, actually, the fact that I've been covering the Zombie Hunter trial and the Canal murders, that same aspect, when you didn't know who was killing somebody like this, it really holds the community in this shock and this fear. And Lauren's life seemed to be, going well. We know she was working at True North. And you actually went to the golf club and talked to her boss. And she was a beautiful girl. It looked like she had everything going for her.
Friends, family.
Yes.
Lived a really nice lifestyle. At least it looks that way from social media.
Yeah, it does. And obviously we know social media can be a highlight reel, but it did look like she was living her best life in Scottsdale. So when you talked to her boss at True North, what did you learn from him?
Right off the bat, it was obvious that even just talking with me, he was really upset. It sounded like he was almost choking back tears. And I imagine that this has been very hard on all of them. I've worked at a golf club before, and it's a lot of young people who get very close. I was friends with a lot of people that I worked with. And he just described the scenario as being excruciatingly painful and tough for all of them. And he described Lauren as very lovely. And that's the extent of what he said, saying that it's just been hard for people to come into work.
I can only imagine. And to your point as well, True North it's kind of in its own area. It's beautiful. It's really, really nice. But there's not a whole lot right around it. So I imagine the people who are working there would be a tight-knit, close kind of family, almost, so to speak. Now, you had done similar to her job. What's it like working there? I assume you're meeting a lot of people.
A lot of people. From what we know, she was a bar cart server, and that is the exact job that I had when I worked at a golf course. And you're interacting with golfers all day. You're often driving a cart, serving drinks, taking tips, interacting with them. And in my experience, a lot of the golfers were really, really lovely people.
So we don't know at this point if this if there was somebody she knew that was involved or if it was random. And I'm kind of unfolding this story chronologically as we're learning as this goes, pretty much with our listeners. But what happened last night, Tuesday night, was Phoenix police released a video of a person of interest is what they're calling it. And it's a hard video to really pull a lot out of because it is kind of grainy, but basically looks like a tall man, possibly black. We can't tell if it's a shadow or if he is African American, kind of slender, running in the area. And that was in the area of the trail, correct?
Yes. And I'm assuming that it was a Ring camera positioned on the porch or the back of someone's house, because I mentioned those houses back up to the trail. And that really puts in perspective how close these homes were to where she was found.
Yeah.
Because you can see him running. And the hard part about that video is it's really impossible to tell what he's wearing because of how grainy it is. So it's not like we can tell, oh, he's in running clothes. He looks like a normal hiker on the trail. Or if he was in, some sort of like work gear or jeans or something, which would be unusual for Arizona in the desert.
It would. And I was watching this last night, and it's funny because we had this conversation in the newsroom. Several of our producers were saying, wow, this is really hard to take anything away from this. In my true crime expertise, so to speak, the one thing that I noticed was he had a pretty unique cadence of running.
I noticed that too.
Yes, like it was a very kind of noticeable, I don't want to call it a prance, but
a gait?
Yeah, kind of. It was just, it was recognizable. And I think it actually, what it reminded me of right away was the big case in Las Vegas where that journalist was killed and the person who's been charged for the crime was a politician he had written about. The reason they were able to put that together was because there was surveillance video of this person walking away. And then in past news stories, they had video of him walking the same way. And the journalists that this man worked with were able to look at the video they had of the suspect walking compared to the surveillance video, and it was that same cadence, that same kind of weird walk. Now, they had more video to work with, but that's what it took me to, in that putting that out, sure, maybe we can't see the clothing exactly or his facial features, but maybe somebody recognized the way he walked and ran.
It was very specific.
Yes. And so we don't know what that's going to lead to, but that's kind of the latest we've had now. We are now recording this on Wednesday, and we are just about an hour and a half ish away from her mother, Lauren's mom, giving a press conference with Phoenix PD. We're expecting her to talk. You said also maybe some of Lauren's friends.
Said some of her friends were going to speak as well. And I think her friends could be super crucial in this investigation because Lauren's 29 and she could have habits that she may tell her friends about, not necessarily her parents about as a young adult. And so there could be new people, new characters in her life that she just isn't close enough with yet to have conveyed back to her parents. And so I think her friends are really going to play a big role, as are her coworkers.
I think so too. And hopefully Phoenix police will also maybe answer some more questions. The cause of death for me is a big one. Are they not releasing the signs of trauma because it's something only the killer knows and they don't want to scare that person off of the fact that they may know exactly who did this? I think people want answers as to whether it's likely somebody that was in her life and she was a target, which is absolutely horrible, or do we have somebody on the loose who is randomly killing young women?
Yeah, and I know that there were flyers put up in the neighborhood near where she was found that have the press release from Phoenix police with the bottom of it saying, please do not hike alone. And so I think that entire community and the Reach 11 trailhead might not be, what it was as far as this investigation goes.
Yeah. And also too, if people are listening to this outside of Arizona, you have to understand too, hiking, running, biking, trails, it is a huge part of this culture in the Phoenix area. People are going all the time. And I mean everybody, families. I go running often by myself in this area, and I know you and I talk about this. We're hyper aware of our surroundings because of it, but this is a very active community.
Super active.
And so to see a sign like that put out by police is very scary because this is something that's embedded in this community. And lots of young women go and hike and run and all of those things.
I have been on this trail several times before, and I have never felt unsafe because it's almost through a neighborhood.
Right. This trail is not somewhere remote. It is not hidden.
It's family friendly. Oh, to put it into a better perspective, you can take your horses on it.
So we've set that scene for you. Sarah, I know you've done a great job covering this. You were heading to this press conference. So what we're going to do with the podcast is I'm going to actually play a bunch of these sound bites in full from her mom, from anybody else who speaks, hopefully from Phoenix PD as well. And then I'm going to come back on the other side of that and go over everything. I know you'll be out reporting for the rest of the day, but for our listeners, I want to play for you how this press conference unfolds, what we learn in real time, and then analyze it with you guys. So here we have the Wednesday press conference about Lauren Heike's death with Phoenix police and her family and friends.
Last Friday at about 10 in the morning, Lauren was hiking on a trail in the area of 65th Street and Libby Lane in North Phoenix. Lauren was attacked from behind and died as a result of her injuries. We have released a brief video clip and a still image from one of the cameras. We are looking for a male between 5'8" and 6 foot tall, wearing dark clothing and a backpack. We believe someone would have noticed this person either before the attack or after he fled from our scene. We ask anyone with any information to contact Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS or for Spanish language, 480-TESTIGO. We will exhaust every resource to bring justice to Lauren and her family. We just ask for any measure of assistance that we can get from the community. Please pray for Lauren and her family. If it was me and my family, I would be taking precautions just to be sure. I don't want to cause a panic, but I think a measure of safety can be implemented by everybody.
So that was a lot of new information from the Phoenix Police Department, and I want to talk just a little bit about that before we play what Lauren's family and good friend said. So this clears up this person of interest. Now they have upgraded that video to suspect. And we are going to have a link, or we have a link in our description of the podcast. If you scroll down into the notes, you can click it so you can see what this video is, the person that they are looking for, who they do believe is the suspect in Lauren's death. I think one of the big takeaways there was that they believe she was attacked from behind, and that detective did go on to say that he believes the attack happened Friday when she went out for her walk on the trail. So that was a question that we seemed to get answered. We didn't know if she was dumped there and if this attack had taken place elsewhere. It does seem like she went out on her walk. She had told friends that she was going out on a walk as she normally would, and that she was attacked on the trail there. Also, this suspect, between 5'8", 6 feet, you heard the detective say it, slender build. That is the surveillance video they were able to find of him. It doesn't appear that they have any other video right now to release to the public, and they are keeping a lot of details close to the heart, not releasing a whole lot because they don't want to compromise the investigation. There are details that only the killer would know, and that's the person they are trying to find right now. So possibly the most terrifying part of that is it does seem that this was a random attack on a trail that a lot of people use. They did say that morning, Friday morning, the area Lauren was in wasn't super viewable, that's the word they used, by other people at the time. Now, it does weave through neighborhoods and things like that, but at the time she was in a part of the trail that was less visible by other people, and that might be where the attack happened. I want to play sound now from Lauren's parents, Lana and Jeff Heike. They were pretty emotional, as you can only imagine. Her mom doesn't live here, and her mom made it a point to say she talked to Lauren every single day. They were very close with her. This is her parents and what they had to say about their daughter.
We want the public to think about this. We want somebody to come forward and help us find this person. Lauren was, obviously she was beautiful, and she was beautiful inside and out. She had such a kind heart. Everybody who met her loved her. She was super funny. She was just a sweet child, just everything to us. They are always your babies, but even her, she just was. But she lived here, and she hadn't lived in that apartment too long, but she loved it. She loved this area. She had so many friends, and she was always happy. She would call. We don't live. We are out of town, and I talked to her every single day, at least once or twice a day, and texted. And every phone call ended with "I love you, Mom," and every text ended that way. Is horrific. I'm sorry. As hard as this is for us, we're grateful because we had such a beautiful child. We feel like we're grateful she had beautiful friends. We have been bombarded. Everybody who has ever met her says she was so sweet and so kind and so loving, and they loved her. And we take a lot of comfort in that. We know that person, and we're grateful for all the people who have reached out. And we're happy that her last moments, she loved to exercise. She was walking, and we know she was happy. She went out that morning on a beautiful day to do what she does every day. And we just want the world to know what a sweet person she was and what she meant to us and to our family, and what a void it leaves for us. But we also know that this dark period, we'll have her memories, and we will love her every minute that we are on this earth.
Yeah.
You know?
She was my little girl. I'm going to miss her terribly.
It's okay, honey.
I just hope they can find whoever did this to her.
We really, really are begging people
Please,
to come forward.
If you know something, come forward.
If you know something,
Help us out.
if you have seen something unusual, somebody wearing a backpack or a hoodie or whatever the video, it's hard to tell, in a sunny, hot day, that person will stand out. And when you've done something, you are going to be unusual. If you think it might be something, if you have an inkling, please contact the police.
You can just hear the pain in her father's voice. Processing this, having to talk in front of the media, unsure of who could have possibly done this. They just want answers. Now, sitting up at this Phoenix police press conference, there were some friends behind her parents that were there for support. But sitting right next to her parents was Lauren's good friend, River. And River actually talked to Lauren on the phone that morning before she went on her walk. And I think the important part to listen to in what he has to say is that nothing seemed off before she went on that walk. She was in good spirits. This was a normal occurrence for her. She loved the area. Nothing was out of the ordinary. And she seemed positive about her life, about her day, about her friends. So take a listen to what River has to say about that morning, his conversation with her, and how he's feeling right now.
She just, she definitely had the ability to change anybody's life. No matter what they were going through, if you interacted with Lauren, she was just an amazing individual. And I just want everyone to dig as deep as you can to find anything or any type of information that just leads to finding out who did this to her. Because I mean, she woke up that day just so happy, and we just can't imagine what could have happened to her. So it's just, please, like, dig deep as you can. Yeah, we spoke about, I mean, that morning we had talked for, I would say, a good amount of time to understand that she had woken up with an amazing attitude. And in specifics, we, Chloe and I had just, like, asked what we were all thankful for that day. And she had, like, specifically just said that she was so thankful to just wake up another day so positive and the ability to go get a coffee and go on a walk and do whatever she was wanting to do that day. So yeah, we did talk to her that morning.
Just an extremely tough situation for her family and friends to be in. And it's so scary. I mean, I don't even know what to say to make people feel better, because this is a normal activity that Lauren was participating in. They said she lived in that North Scottsdale, North Phoenix area. There was nothing that she was doing that was out of the norm for not only her, but really anybody her age. She's 29 years old, active. Her mom said she loved fitness. She loved exercise. She was always hiking or walking or running. And this was just a normal part of her routine and her life in Arizona. So, you know, you struggle because this was a popular trail. She was not off the beaten path in a really rural area. And I think that before this, you know, people thought maybe this was targeted, but after everything we just learned from that press conference, it does believe that there is a suspect on the loose who did not know Lauren, or at least to her friends and family, they were not aware of this suspect knowing Lauren. And that's a really scary ordeal. You heard the detective say to take precautions, that if it was him and his family, he would take precautions and be careful, but he didn't want to be overly alarmist. So there are things in this investigation that they are clearly not revealing to the public. He used the word heinous to describe what happened to her. And that would lead me to believe that there are some pretty substantial injuries to Lauren that happened during this attack. But the nature of those injuries, where they were, what was a murder weapon, those are things they're just not revealing. And that would lead me to believe that they know quite a bit more and are doing their best to try to track down this suspect without letting him know what they know at this point, to scare him off. They want to find this person and arrest him, and they want to get him alive because they're going to want answers as to what happened to Lauren and how this horrendous crime was committed and unfolded. So again, we learned a lot in that press conference. And I think what's interesting about this podcast episode is we have literally recorded parts of this episode throughout today as we've learned new information, along with everybody at home and everybody who's been watching our newscasts and staying up to date on social media. And so we really are learning new updates in this case in real time and doing our best to get all of that new information out to you guys, our listeners, and our television viewers. And so we appreciate you staying with us as we are also just taking in everything we're learning as it's happening. Our hearts are with the Heike family and her friends. We hope to get more updates on this case. It's obviously one that the community is paying attention to. We want to do our best to just get all of the factual information out there to inform, educate, and keep our fellow community members and other Arizonans safe as we learn more about what's going on in this case. Again, I just want to go back over that suspect description. In that video, it's a very quick video of a man running, but this is how they describe that suspect, and something to be on the lookout for if you're in Arizona. A thin-build subject with dark complexion wearing a dark backpack, gray or lighter colored shirt, dark pants, and shoes. And they described him as being somewhere between 5'8" and 6 feet. If you have any information at all on Lauren Heike's death, or anything you might have seen in that North Scottsdale, North Phoenix area and that Reach 11 trail, please call the Phoenix Police Department in their silent witness line. You can reach them at 480-WITNESS, and in numbers, that's 480-948-6377. You can also leave an anonymous tip on the Silent Witness website at silentwitness.org. You can remain completely anonymous, and you can earn a cash reward for information that leads to the arrest or indictment of the suspect of this crime. Again, we now know 29-year-old Lauren Heike killed while out hiking, walking on a popular trail in the North Scottsdale, North Phoenix area. And now Phoenix police and the Heike family need your help in identifying the person they believe killed her. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll be back as soon as we learn more information on this case. True Crime Arizona, the podcast, is hosted by me, Brianna Whitney, and produced by Sergio Hernandez. It's a production of Arizona's Family, 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.
This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.